Welcome, everyone, for another adventure of Astronomical Tidbits with Steve Layman of the CAS, or Charlottesville Astronomical Society. Steve is going to share with us some groovy stuff this month of February. What you got there, Steve?
Hey, Kathy, let me share my screen and we'll get started. So I need to go to here. And we're ready to roll. Can you see my screen okay?
Looks great.
All right, so Astronomy Tidbits for February 2023. You see that image of a comet on the front page, and that is there for a reason. We're going to talk about comets because for the next 3 or 4 nights, there are absolutely going to be amazing opportunities to see the comet and all the way through the end of the month. So let's get started. So the name of the comet in question is Comet C 2022 E3ZTF, and we're going to talk more about that name a little bit later. This particular page shows you a link that gives you a video of just about everything you might want to know about comets in general. But up here is a stellarium image that I took the night of the 30th. And we'll talk a little bit about stellarium a little later if you don't have that app on your phone or on your computer. But right here, which is just near Polaris, which is at the tip of my arrow, is where the comet was located that evening. And so let's go comet hunting and talk a little bit about things. So how are comets named? And comets are named by the year that they are found. So this comet was found in 2022. It was found on the 5th fortnight. So every 2 weeks during the year is a new fortnight. So A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th fortnight was the first week in March. And it was the 3rd comet discovered that period. And it was discovered using the Zwicky Transient Facility, or basically a wide field camera, which was attached to a telescope at the Palomar Observatory in California. And this gives you an idea of the kind of sensors that can be mounted on the camera. And these images, here's the moon, for instance, here's a galaxy. So when they do this kind of survey, they basically point the telescope at a spot in the sky for a long time. And this large sensor then gobbles up all the light that they find in there. And then the next day, they come back and take a look at all the different pieces of light that they have found. And occasionally, they find something they've never seen before. And very often, that's either an asteroid or a comet. So what are comets? Comets are cosmic snowballs of frozen gases and rock and dust that orbit the sun. When frozen, they're about the size of a small town. So if you are living around here, Scottsville, for instance, or Nelly's Ford, for instance, if you're up at Wintergreen. And when they get close to the sun, they heat up and spew dust and gas into a glowing head that's usually larger than many of our smaller planets. And they're basically left over from the formation of the solar system. And so when a star lights up, it blows all of the gases and dusts away and out into the far regions of the solar system as nuclear fusion takes over. And so here's our sun. Here's the Kuiper Belt, where we currently find objects that are very similar to Pluto. And here is the Oort cloud. This is where these cosmic snowballs kind of live. And they either get perturbed by another piece of ice or something that gravitationally causes it to fall into the inner solar system. And generally, they do one of two things. They come around, loop around the sun, and they get too close to the sun and disintegrate. Or for periodic comets, they loop through the solar system and come back at some given number of years. And we're going to talk about this particular comet's periodicity here in a minute. So the anatomy of a comet, it's got a nucleus. Again, this is the rock and the ices. And this shows where the sun would be over here and the solar wind is blowing in this direction. So we get an ion tail. The coma of the comet is kind of the glow around the nucleus where all of this, the gas and dust is sublimating. And generally comets, and if they're moving in this direction, for instance, they have a tail that tends to curve off in this direction. Now, this particular example doesn't have that curvy tail, but most comets have a little bit of a curvy tail that kind of moves off from the direction in which the comet is heading. So why does this particular comet, C2022 E3 ZTF, look green? It's because the comet expels diatomic carbon, which means that this particular carbon is a gas, and there are two atoms of carbon in the molecule. And as they are vaporizing, they let off kind of a green glow. Now, generally, the color of a comet can't be seen by the human eye. When I looked at the comet the other night in a pair of astronomical binoculars, it looked white to me. This kind of image is usually taken by stacking a number of images one on top of each other that intensifies the color. Our eye regenerates images every time we blink, and so we don't get the opportunity to stack things one on top of the other to increase the color of an object. So here's the path of our comet. It comes through, actually it came through the solar system in this direction. And so this giant orbit loop is about 200 years for its orbit. And instead of a 90 degree would be straight up and down in relationship to the plane of the solar system. It's got an inclination of about 109 degrees, so a little bit of an angle off in that degree. You can take a look with this chart and see where the comet has been. January 24th, it was above Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, the Big Bear. And as we move through February, it will move past Mars on the 11th of February and into the area of Taurus, the Bull, as we get near the end of the month. Now, this comet, depending on what you're looking at it with, will be visible for a large portion of the spring. It's just going to be mostly visible with a pair of binoculars and a telescope for February and into March. And then unless you've got a really big telescope, probably you're going to lose it in the depths as we get into April and beyond. So for those of you that have Stellarium, and I'll remind you that Stellarium is an absolutely free planetarium program that you can run on any PC or Apple product. And this particular video is about 7 or 9 minutes long, and the girl does a really great explanation of how to add the information that you need to get from the internet into Stellarium to be able to produce that kind of image that I had in the second slide in this slide deck. So NASA, of course, you would expect, has a comet page, and there is a really great amount of information on that page. So I would suggest that you click on the link here, or if you are following along, simply do a web search for NASA comet page, and it'll pop up pretty quickly. Lots more information than probably anybody needs to know about comets, but a lot of fun facts there. So let's move on from comets to some things that we might be able to see naked eye in the February night sky. So every once in a while, somebody asks me, so I've heard that there are a pair of stars in the night sky called Gemini, and actually Gemini is an asterism. It looks like the two brothers Castor and Pollux, and they are going to be between, or actually near, the moon on February 2nd and 3rd. Procyon is the small dog star. Orion would be up in this area of the night sky. So this is a way to find Castor and Pollux in the night sky naked eye. In February evenings looking east, you're going to be able to see kind of later in the evening the moon in the sickle of Leo, the head of Leo the lion, as it rises in the east. So that's kind of a cool thing to see. Another thing that you're going to be able to see naked eye looking west in the early evenings, just after sunset, is Jupiter and Venus right before they set in the west, and they're going to be very near the sliver moons here on the 21st and 22nd. And another cool thing that we're going to be able to see in February, looking to the southern sky above Orion the Hunter, and this is one of the asterisms that most folks are able to see, as the moon passes above Orion on the 27th and 28th, you're going to be able to see Mars in between the moon there. So another cool naked eye kind of an observation that you can make. We can just really hope that the night sky cooperates with us. I know a couple of nights this past week we've had some clouds coming in and kind of blocking things, but depending on where you are, especially if you're up on top of the mountain, you might have a better view of the night sky than those of us down in the valley. Whoop, let me back up. I almost lost the phases of the moon. So new moon this month is on the 20th. That's going to be on either side of that, a couple of days, the best nights to look for deep sky objects, galaxies and nebulae and star clusters. And this month, although we wouldn't know it from the lack of snow that we've had in central Virginia, the February moon is known as the snow moon. So get out there, do some of those naked eye observations, try and catch the comet over the next week or so, and we'll be back with you in the month of March. So Kathy, that's it for Astronomical Tidbits for the month of February.
That sounds like a lot of cool stuff to be checking out. And we'll get this to everybody as soon as possible. Thanks, Steve.
Great.
It's awesome.
You're welcome.
All right.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.